You know, for decades, there has been one name that's just dominated family entertainment. But a new challenger has shown up, pretty much out of nowhere. And it's not just competing, it's smashing records and sparking this huge viral debate. Today, we're going to unpack that analysis and see if we're looking at a real seismic shift. And that's really the big question, isn't it? For the first time in a very, very long time, a new challenger isn't just nibbling at the edges of the Disney princess lineup. It might be on the verge of kicking it right off the throne as the biggest girl brand on the entire planet. Okay, so let's get into it. This whole thing starts with a new animated movie from Netflix and Sony called K-pop Demon Hunters. And to really understand the panic this is causing in the industry, we have to look at just how ridiculously successful it's been. So the first clue that something totally different was happening was on the music charts. I mean, sure, animated movies get a hit song all the time, but K-pop Demon Hunters did something else, something we've never seen before. Its soundtrack didn't just have a hit song, it just took over. And just look at the sheer scale of this. We're talking about 5 songs from one movie, all in the Billboard Top 20 at the exact same time. That's a quarter of the biggest songs in the country, all coming from one animated film. It's never happened. And all that heat from the music, it's translating directly to people watching it. This movie isn't just the most watched animated movie on Netflix, it's on a path to become the most watched movie, period, in the entire history of the platform. And here's the craziest part, it's gonna do it all in a single summer. Okay, to really get why this is such a shock to this system, you've got to remember, before this movie came along, the entire world of animated movie musicals belonged to one company, and one company only, Disney. I mean, just look at the absolute powerhouse that was Frozen. Its soundtrack was #1 for 13 weeks straight. Frozen 2 also hit #1, and then Encanto became this massive streaming phenomenon because of its music. This was Disney's kingdom, and they had a fortress built around it. So how in the world did this happen? How did a totally new property just smash a dynasty that's been going for decades? Well, the source analysis we're looking at points to some really clear differences in how they tell stories and how they think about strategy. Let's put them head to head. Well, according to the analysis, a huge difference is the hero herself. For years, we've kind of been served this girl boss character, the one who's already perfect, and the whole story is just about the world learning to accept how great she is. K-pop Demon Hunters completely flips that. It gives us characters who are flawed, but you can really relate to them, and they go on a real hero's journey where they have to change, all wrapped in a story about friendship and being honest. And then there's the other big piece of the puzzle, originality. The source argues that audiences, especially young women, are getting tired of these huge brands like Marvel or Star Wars just being repackaged for them. They're hungry for something new, something that was created for them from the very beginning. And that is exactly what K-pop Demon Hunters delivered. So what this all boils down to is that this wasn't just a lucky break. The analysis actually identifies a clear, repeatable formula that explains why this new IP is hitting so hard with its audience. It's basically a recipe for a modern hit. And right at the heart of this whole thing is this idea they're calling the inverted girl boss. It's really just a return to classic good storytelling. Instead of a perfect hero who never really struggles, you get a flawed character that you see yourself in. Someone who has to grow and overcome their own challenges to win. It's all about the internal journey, not just waiting for the world to say you're great. So, when you break it down, the recipe is actually pretty straightforward, but it's brilliant. First, start with something totally new. Second, design it specifically for the audience you want to reach. Third, give them heroes they can actually look up to. And finally, you ground the whole thing in a timeless hero's journey about growth and change. Okay, so with this kind of insane, unprecedented success, you just know things are about to get intense. K-pop Demon Hunters isn't just a movie anymore. It's a potential billion-dollar property. And now, everybody wants a piece of it. Right now, behind the scenes, there is this massive tug-of-war going on. Sony, who actually made the movie, they want the sequel to get a huge theatrical release so they can make the most money possible. But Netflix, who put it on their service and watched it become their biggest hit ever, they want to keep the franchise all to themselves as a streaming exclusive. And you gotta understand, this isn't just about who gets to make the next movie. The real money, the real test, is whether they can turn this cultural moment into a merchandising empire. Can they create the next Elsa dress,
The executive who figures out how to merchandise this thing the right way, kind of like what Bob Chapek did with Frozen for Disney, well, that person's career is going to be made overnight.
This quote from the analysis really says it all, doesn't it? This isn't just another business deal. It is a battle royale. It's a high-stakes fight for control of what could be the next dominant family franchise for the next 10 years. And that, of course, leaves us with the billion-dollar question. The film hit a nerve with an audience that was just starving for something new. But can Netflix and Sony actually play nice and build this into a real, lasting franchise with sequels and toys and the whole shebang? Or is all the corporate fighting going to cause this lightning in a bottle to just fizzle out and become a one-hit wonder? The future of the entire girl brand economy? Well, it just might hang in the balance.